Buon Natale tutti. I want to welcome everyone to our Christmas in Italy kind of chat and discussion about the some traditions in Italy that are a little different than in the United States, and probably a lot of the Latin Catholic countries celebrate. Actually, they party. The truth be known, from probably a little before Christmas Eve all the way to January 6th. No business happens in most Latin countries, including Italy, during those times, or if they do, it's very little, because traditionally in Italy, and I want to say Italy and Latin countries, gift giving traditionally has taken place on January 6th or January 5th. That's when in honor of, or the custom is in honor of, the tradition of three kings, the three kings paying homage to the baby Jesus. Well, we have kind of spun this thing commercially to the point now we're celebrating gift giving by Thanksgiving. And so Italian Americans just join in the flow, and they celebrate from Thanksgiving to Epiphany, but it's like 2 months. There are a couple of interesting traditions too. And one of them in certain parts of Italy and France and Spain is that they have the holiday King's Cake, where they have holiday parties. Usually it takes place after Christmas. And for those 6 or 7 days, they share a cake, a coffee cake like a panettone. And there's a little gift in it. If you win the gift, which is usually a little ceramic, you have to host the next party. So this party goes on until your waistline can't hold anymore. So what I'm going to really talk about, two things: the presepio or presepi. Now, the wording basically is dialect. Southern Italians prefer the common name is more presepio. Northern Italians, it's presepi. In dialect, like in Neapolitan, they even have a different word, and it's presepe. So it's called u presepe, which is very similar to Calabrese dialect. So but it all comes from Latin, and presepio, the key word is pre, which means in front of the manger. Presepio, in front of the manger. That's where the custom came. And basically, the tradition probably goes back before St. Francis, but St. Francis of Assisi developed the first presepio, and actually he used live people to play the roles. That's even common in Italy today, where local communities will have a Mary and a Joseph and some of the three king processions throughout Italy. And they do celebrate that live presepio scene in the church. So it's kind of interesting. And then what we're going to do,
in Italian is called,
talk a little bit about our own presepio that we have at the Italian American Heritage Foundation, because it truly was a community effort. And we'll talk about that in a second, but I want to explain just a little bit. Some of the characters included Ralph DiTullio, who made the manger scene, Dave Brzezinski, who made the box, myself as a frustrated artist painting, and Corinne. Actually, I would like to say we sent Corinne on a field trip to Naples, but she was going. But we actually have a traditional, the traditional Neapolitan statuary, and we have pictures of it that we're going to be showing. So I think without further ado, oh yeah, the other thing too is we wanted to have this basically a bilingual production. And I recall the last year when we set the Presepio up, I put it up and Zena Russo noted that you're putting baby Jesus in too soon. Well, we put it up December 4th or 5th when we got ready for our holiday parties in the good old days. So we put baby Jesus in. In Italy, you put baby Jesus in on Christmas Eve, and then you add the three kings a couple of days before Epiphany. So there's a whole interactive process that we kind of miss. But so we thought we would have Zena explain how this happens in Italy, and she will be speaking in Italian. We taped it, and then we will share with Corinne on her field trip to Naples, because now I want to go onto that street, but I'll let Corinne talk about it. So Dave, shall we start the program?
Okay, sure. So I think everybody's muted here, but if you're not, go ahead and mute yourself, and except for Corinne and
myself
Ken.
and yeah.
Yeah.
Today's special event is coordinated Dave Brzezinski, and we're going to have a talk about the nativity scenes in Italy. But yes, many people should realize that the Italian American Heritage Foundation started its own Presepe or nativity scene, and we will have some photos of it that I will send to Dave to post on. But also we've had some people in our organization that carry on this Italian tradition at home, and one of them is Zena Russo. Now Zena and her husband Corrado have been, Zena and Corrado Russo have been involved in the heritage for many years, but also Corrado served on the board of directors for the Italian American Heritage Foundation. He was also on the sister county commission with Santa Clara County and Firenze or Florence. Yes. In addition, both Zena and Corrado co-chaired the Festa della Repubblica, and that is a very personal thing because both of them were teenagers when Italy became a republic. In fact, when I went to Rome a couple of years ago, Corrado's nephew, Aldo Russo, I wanted to see the Ardennes caves because Conrad lived in Rome during the German occupation, and he told me a lot about those days and being a young adolescent during that time. At that time too, you took your life in your hands if you went out on the streets, and in fact several hundred Romans were rounded up and shot and put in the Ardennes caves, and Conrad always talked about that. So I had to go see that, and Conrad's nephew brought me to the caves. But all of these memories came back when we started preparing for the Presepe and my relationship with Conrad and Zena, which goes back many years. So without further ado, I asked Zena to give us a little explanation of the Presepe, first in Italian and then in English. So Zena, if you would.
Okay, I'm gonna start?
Yes.
Ok. Ciao a tutti italiani nel mondo. Sono qui a spiegarvi cosa rappresenta il presepio. Il presepio è una rappresentazione della nascita di Gesù bambino. L'usanza di allestire il presepio è diffusa oggi in tutti i paesi cattolici nel mondo. Maria diede alla luce il suo figlio primogenito, lo avvolse nelle fasce e lo depose in una mangiatoia crepia. Tradizionalmente il 25 dicembre. Le famiglie si riuniscono per celebrare la nascita di Gesù bambino. Il presepio si mantiene fino al giorno dell'Epifania, il 6 gennaio, quando i re magi vanno a fare la visita a Gesù bambino e le portano i 3 doni, oro, mirra e genso. Il presepio lo potete mettere nel salone. Now I'm going to explain something in English. Sorry, my accent. Il presepio is the Italian word for nativity, which is a representation of the birth baby Jesus. Midnight, December 25th, we keep on display until the day of the Epiphany, January 6th. The King Magi arrived with a gift, gold, myrrh, e genso. Il presepio nativity you can keep in the living room. Thank you. Grazie. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. Buon Natale, buon anno a tutto il mondo. Happy holiday, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Zena. I recall Zena saying that we kind of, in the United States, put up our holiday gifts and everything very early, but they put up their Presepe around Christmas Eve, and then it goes to Epiphany, which is in January, where the traditional gift giving occurs, not Christmas Eve. But
No.
And in fact, I recall a lot of Catholic Latin countries all over the world celebrate this tradition.
Yes.
I recall that they even have large parades on Epiphany Eve. I saw one in Madrid, Spain, and it took I was speechless because it was like a Rose Bowl parade. These are
Yes.
big events in Latin countries. So Zena is a timely reminder that there is a whole other tradition out there in Italy.
Yes.
Any other comments, Zena? Do you want to talk about La Befana?
The Epiphany, the gift for the kids, they don't give Christmas Day. Christmas Day in Italy before, now they celebrate. When I was young, live in Italy, we had no Christmas tree. We had to wait for January 6th for the gift. The old lady dressed like old lady, being the gift, we call Befana. It's Epiphany. That's why now it's a change. People, the kids, some they give a Christmas Day, and some they're going to give an Epiphany. They have same thing. Ken, you said they are big parade in Italy too. But now this year with the crazy virus, they don't do nothing because it's a maledetto virus. I hope everything is will be fine next 2021. I wish everybody a lot of health, peace in the world.
Okay, thank you, Zena. And as part of this program too, we will have Corinne Tamayo talk about the statues that she purchased in Naples, and it was really a community event, including Dave Brzezinski making the famous box, Ralph DiTullio making the manger, and I painting the box and getting some of the statuary too. But my statuary is not the same quality as what Corinne gets when she went to Naples. In Naples, it is a very big tradition, and it's a historical tradition.
Yes.
If you want to see a very historical manger scene, I saw one at Grace Cathedral. It's under glass. It goes back to the 17th century, and it's hand carved in wood. So these are very elaborate.
It's true, Ken. In Naples, they make big. Now they show on Italian TV. They already make a lot of big statue, and they are big celebrated. This year is going to be a little less because with this virus. It's a problem everywhere. Now, I don't know, this morning I was listening to the Mass from Rome, the Pope. It was raining, not too many people in the church because they got to be careful.
Mhm.
Okay, well, we're all hoping for a better 2021. Per un
I hope
meglio
so. Yeah,
anno
hope so.
nuovo.
We're
Thank
gonna
you, Zina.
We're going to pray. Thank you very much. Thank you, David.
Okay.
Happy holiday when you talk. Say hi to your wife.
Grazie mille.
Ciao.
Okay, are
Grazie.
we-
Thank you, Ken.
Bye, Zina.
We'll talk to you in 2 weeks, Ken, okay? Thank you.
all right.
Have a nice day. Thank you. Grazie. Ciao.
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 Okay, now we're going to go to the major scene. The first part is the famous box. The box was actually going to be multi-purpose to store the equipment and really capture kind of the manger and the spirit of Napoli, because a lot of the cresp and presepios, they really are very elaborate and very personal to the location. So this manger here, scene here, we wanted to make it very similar to a Neapolitan style. And our loyal friend and excellent wood maker, Ralph DiTullio, he built a motel. This is really a beautiful inn. And then we painted it, or I painted it. Can we stop right there, go back, Dave?
Yeah.
I want to go back to this here because the manger scene itself is integrated with the box. The same paints, the same colors, the same tones are in the box, and the same masonry coloring is the same coloring as the backdrop. So it came kind of together. So then we can now go to some of the statuary. And for that, the next part, I'd like to have Corinne explain a little bit about her trip. And we'll go through the statuary because you won't really, the detail is quite amazing. Corinne?
Ken,
Sure.
before you do that, I'd like to jump in here a bit, if you
Okay.
don't mind. I wanted to show this backdrop here. This is Ken's painting here. Our own Ken Borelli. Isn't this a beautiful job here?
It's like Van Gogh's Starry Night.
That's right.
Yeah, Starry Skies, right? Starry Night. Okay, we'll go.
Corinne?
Sure. So Ken is correct. I went to Naples 4 years ago, and I'm not sure exactly how Ken got wind of it. But he asked me, since I was going to be going there, he said he wanted to do this crush, and could I pick up the figures of the Holy Family in Naples. So he wanted me to find the figures for Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus. So I scouted out the street that is in Naples that is famous for all these Presepe shops, and it's called Via San Gregorio a Meno. And I wouldn't even really call it a street. It's more like an alley, a big alley. And it is lined on both sides of that street with dozens and dozens and dozens of Presepe shops. That's all you see for sale on this street. It's located in Spaccanapoli. For those of you who've been to Naples, Spaccanapoli is right in the historic center of Naples, and it's a long and very busy street. I learned that Via San Gregorio a Meno has long been a commercial hub in Naples. In the Greek and Roman era, the area around the street were the center of political and administrative life. And the street itself was also the city's artistic center, where there were workshops, painters, sculptors, carvers, and goldsmiths were based there. And these shops that are, as I say, dozens of them are open year round. I happened to be there in September, so it wasn't quite as crazy as I understand it gets during Advent. Apparently you can't even move down the alley at Advent because it's so crowded. But they are open year round. The nativity figures include not only the Holy Family, but also animals such as the ox and the donkey, minor characters to complete the scenes. You'll see lots of figures of shepherds, fruit vendors, fishmongers, butchers, even a pizza man with his pizza oven. And also, as this tradition has gone forward in current times, a lot of the Presepe stores have modern figures that they sell as well. So I've seen they had, you know, pictures, or not pictures, they had figurines, for example, of Obama and Elvis. And I was looking on the website just tonight of the store where I bought these figures, and they even have George and Amal Clooney figures. So I'm not sure if I want to put those in your nativity scene, but they have some of Berlusconi as well. So these figures have been adapted as time goes on. They make them of famous personalities, politicians, and celebrities. You can see the figures I brought back because I was hand carrying these back on the plane, are small. They're, I don't know what, maybe 10 inches, 10 or 11 inches, something like that. They're fairly small. And if you go to the street and see these shops, you'll see some of the figurines that they sell are quite large. They're 3 and 4 feet tall. So you can buy very, very large ones that are very elaborate, very detailed, and also very expensive. You can spend thousands of dollars on some of these large figures. And as I went through these shops, I knew nothing about these Presepe figures, and kind of as I went through the street, looked at all the shops to try and figure out where I was going to buy these figures, it became apparent pretty quickly that the quality varies tremendously. So some of them, such as these, you'll see are very detailed. Their clothing is handmade. It's silk in the case of the man. And the figures themselves are terracotta, so they have terracotta faces and hands. So those are the higher quality ones. You'll see some of the cheaper shops sell cheaper figurines that are made out of plastic. So there's a real quality difference among the shops on this street. I bought these particular figures at a store called Virgilio, and it has been in business since 1830. They have a website if anyone wants to go online and look at their merchandise, and I'm sure you can purchase it and have it shipped. It's just www.divirgilioart, that's divirgilio.com. And they really do have very quality merchandise there compared to a number of the other stores that I saw on that main street. As I say, they've been in business a long time, since 1830. So I think that's about it. I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has any regarding the street or the store or the figurines.
Do we have oh, there's the box over there.
That's the box the figures came in. Very nice packaging.
Roughly how much did they cost on an individual? Do you recall?
You know, sure, we can put up the URL for the store in the chat. What I recall, Ken, is that the Mary, Joseph, and the baby and the little crib were around 300 euros, is my best recollection. And that's all together. I don't remember what they were individually.
You know, we've had them up for quite a few years now, but until we did this program, we really never paid that much attention to the detail, because you see, you know, kind of the whole picture. But the expressions on the faces, this is all handmade terracotta.
Yeah, they're all handmade, yeah. Well, and just look at the detail in the clothing. I mean, it's tailored to these little figurines. It's hand tailored. I mean, the detail, the lace, and it's pretty amazing. When you look at them up close and see the work that goes into them, you can see why they're so expensive.
Corinne, you could comment as we go further. We have additional, that was interesting too. We have some additional statuary, and there are actually, that I found, 2 separate Christmas stores in the Bay Area. One is in Petaluma, and the other one is in Carmel. And both sell a special holiday item that is very similar to the Neapolitan, but they're on a plastic mold. They're very good in terms of antiquing and all, but it's not as ceramic as this. And you know, we wanted to have some of the other animals and stuff. So, Dave, can we go a little farther and show some of the other statuary?
Sure.
And it was see. There was the camel, the 3 kings. The detail is very good. It's not the same as the ceramic, but it is also very good too. And we got these, I believe I got these in Petaluma, but they did have some in Carmel, the Christmas shop in Carmel as well. Now, I just found out today, unbeknownst to me, that Kathy Winkleman of Joya Company now has incorporated the statuary in her line. So if people want to get some of the local reproductions of the traditional ceramic figurines, you'll give Kathy Winkleman a call, and we'll post her site on in a little bit as well. Or you can contact the Heritage and we'll get you connected. Kathy Winkleman has a site on our holiday market. So you can just go to the IHF Italian holiday market and contact her on this if you want to start developing your own manger scene. The other part too is, if we can we back this the scene up a little bit? Ralph DiTullio embellished the manger scene with a corral. That was an extra. So we have our animals in a corral, and I think so far we have a camel, we have a cow, we have a donkey, an ass or chooch or whatever they called it, and then we have the figure of the 3 kings. Now, traditionally, per Zena, the baby would not be in until December 24th, which kind of makes sense to the tradition. And then the 3 kings come, and they would be celebrating that on the following week. So you have 2 weeks of, it's actually it's much more integrated with the religious theme of what Christmas is all about. It's really hard to determine today what you know, the whole tradition is really. It's a very spiritual thing. And then the wise men, who were star astrology and all, they determined that this was the site where the new king would be. In addition, in Italy, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, we have the bagpipers. And you know, as opposed to Scottish bagpipes and other countries that have bagpipes, it seems traditionally the bagpipe is really associated with Christmas. And of course, the main Christmas carol, just like ours is Jingle Bells, well, the Italian one is Scendi dalle stelle. And it talks about in search of the star that brought the 3 wise men to Jerusalem, or Bethlehem rather. So this, throughout Italy, especially in the large cities, the bagpipers come out in the evening to serenade people in the holiday markets. Well, we're going to be doing this online in a little bit. But let me, I'll try to explain something about bagpipes. The Italian bagpipes all bagpipes basically use a bag, but the bag is really the guts of a goat or a sheep. Then it's inflated and you play it. The other part of that is that there is as you see here, the man is playing it, and I have one similar to that. Notice there is one pipe to play. That is called the chanter. That's the chanter, the thing that you're playing. In addition, there is the drone. Now, in bagpipes, and that's a copy of my bagpipe, this is similar to the one you saw in the statuary. It's actually the easier one to play because you have one pipe that you can play, and you have one drone. The drone is the continual monotonous sound, but in Scottish and some of the Italian pipes, you have sometimes two drones going at the same time, so you can run out of air. All of the bagpipers that I know have to be ambidextrous because the Italian pipes, as just shown here, has two chanters. So you need to use both hands for fingering. The other idiosyncrasy about bagpipes it is a folk instrument. It's usually used by shepherds. They must have a lot of time. You also have to make your own reeds. The reeds are very hard to make. Even all bagpipers have to make their reeds. The reeds go into the air sac, and that's what gives you your sound. Interesting too, even with the Scottish pipes, I went once I was desperate to find reeds because you just don't find reeds for bagpipes. So I went to a Scottish store to buy reeds. I figure a reed is a reed. And it's all right for the drone, but not for the chanter. But I asked where the reeds were made. They're made in Pakistan, because that was the British influence on bagpipes. Bagpipes are a fascinating folk instrument. And not only are they in Scotland and Ireland, actually, the more refined bagpipes come from Bulgaria. It's one of the national instruments in Bulgaria. So here is a representation of an Italian pipe, but it's also called in Bulgarian a gaida. It's the national instrument of Bulgaria. But there are French bagpipes. They're Celtic as well. So the French Celtic, the Spanish Celtic, and the Irish and English Celtic all use bagpipes. It was a common phenomena. Ironically, when I had the actual goatskin bagpipe, the last time I played it was at an IAHF function, and I blew the pipe apart, blew the sack. So I had to go and get Scottish bagpipe pipes. So they use goatskin. So it's interesting on that. So before we go, is there any more, Corinne? Did you want to add to the sculpture before we go into our live performance?
No, I didn't really have anything unless anyone has questions.
Okay, if anyone has questions while we're listening, we can put it on chat and then we could respond. That's probably the easiest way to do this. I selected this picture here, or this performance. You can go online and check out the various bagpipes. Some are really very authentic and rural, and this is a little more polished, and it shows two types of bagpipes and two flutes, and I think they're called piffero. They're little flutes. They play in coordination. the thing that probably makes a difference in bagpipes, and I'm sure you're going to learn more about bagpipes than you want, but the thing about bagpipes is they're very hard to harmonize. That's what makes the Scottish bagpipe so popular, because there's some uniformity, and you could have bagpipe orchestras and they're all in the same tune. Tuning bagpipes is challenging. So the selection I got here was the Quartetto Petra to Scendi, dalle, stelle. They have pretty well refined their presentation. If you go online, you'll see some folk bagpipers walking through the streets of southern Italy or in a procession, and it's usually just two instruments because it's very hard to coordinate the tuning. So without further ado, let's go to Scendi.
Hello, Vita.
There was a question about the figurines. Their hands are swollen. I didn't pay that much attention to it. Would you know, Corinne? No.
No, I have no idea. I didn't either.
Yeah, I asked that question about the hands. I noticed they all look like their hands were broken because they're so swollen. But it's got to be on purpose because they're all like that.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
it was
we'll
my
go
concern.
back and check
No
it out.
explanation.
But I will tell you, regarding bagpipes, they're a very hard instrument to play because not only are you controlling, you're doing the fingering, at the same time you're working the reeds. And if you saw that, that's why I like that video, because you saw 4 different types of instruments. You saw 2 bagpipes. One is a bass bagpipe, and they're really called Zampogna, or they're actually even called cornamusa. But cornamusa is very archaic. Zampogna is the more popular term. And of course, the Zampogneri are the bagpipers who go through Rome and all. When I visited my family in Calabria, they knew I was interested in bagpipes. So they brought the local bagpiper to their house, and we had coffee while he played, and I was humbled by his fingering. You'd have to see it up close to see the fingering. And he played in some of the villages in the south of Italy. They also use the bagpipe and guitar for tarantellas in folk festivals, because most of this is now in the realm of folk festivals. So you can go to some of the villages in Italy, in southern Italy particularly, and the folk tradition is very much alive. If you saw it on this video, these were more younger people that are trying to keep this art form alive. So it is a passing art form, but there are people that are trying to keep the tradition alive.
Ken,
Are there any other questions?
Ken, where did you get your bagpipe?
Okay, I got my bagpipe. The first set I got was from a Bulgarian. And it was a gaida, but it's so close to the Italian that I just used the musical notes for "Tu scendi dalle stelle." I worked it out, and I was able to play that and some Bulgarian tunes on the Bulgarian pipes. That's the one I blew out when I played at the IAHF, and so I had to go to a bagpipe maker. There was one in Santa Cruz who actually made me a pair of Italian pipes, and that's the one I have now. The only problem with that was the reeds. The reeds, he would make the pipes, and I got a couple of the reeds, but you have to really play with the reeds to make them. It's a whole challenge.
Thank you.
Any other questions then?
Question, this is more of a statement. I remember years ago attending a lecture at the hall, and you had a fellow come in, and he was talking about the Presepio. And then he also had an extension of his lecture at Santa Clara University, which I attended. But he was talking about the popularity of the Presepio in New Jersey, and how they would have streets in New Jersey where people would set up these Presepios in their garages, move their cars out, and people would just do a drive-by to look at them. But he said what's been happening is now, as was referred to, that people are now putting in the scenery, figures or objects that are really important to them. So he showed one where a fellow had come back years ago, obviously, from Vietnam, and he had soldiers, and he had all of these different toys of war that were there. And because it's supposed to be, what it's become is a statement about your own life. So that's why you're probably seeing some of the popularity of these figures like George Clooney.
Well, if you go to Naples, some of the stores, the displays are unbelievable. Some of the ones I remember seeing were probably, 15 feet long and 10 feet high, and it would be a whole village, built around
Exactly.
fresh with all the people in the town and mountains in the background. I mean, they're very, very elaborate and huge.
Well, just a little postscript. The Presepio that I have in my dining room on the buffet is full of all kinds of things. It's full of little animals I've picked up when I've traveled around the world and these kind of things. And it means a lot to me because every year it's like opening up a memory of where I'd been in the past. Thank you.
Well, that highlights an important thing about the Presepio in Italy is they are traditions. They're handed down and they grow just like your life experience. So you're right. If somebody served in the military, they may have a statue of a soldier somewhere there because it's all part of the village that they're from. So I think that, and obviously I think in where Corinne went, they had a variety of figurines that you start with your tradition, but that's to me that's kind of neat. It's a living tradition.
Pretty soon I'm going to need a second buffet.
Oh, really? We should have added a picture of that. Maybe we can get a picture.
Thank you, Ken.
How about a Presepio contest?
Yeah, well, it's yours. Are you aware, since you're from New Jersey, are you aware of that city?
Yeah, I am, but I've never seen people put their own personalities in, but a lot of people have majors and creches throughout the state. The reason is the Italian American community in New Jersey is the largest ethnic group in New Jersey. So you have a lot of people doing a lot of different things.
Any other comments?
I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but Father Chris Bennett over at St. Christopher's, he has a collection of over 600.
No, I'm not aware.
Yes, he does. It's a huge.
Well, does he put them out or?
He used to, and he used to put them in the church, but then people started stealing them, so he had to stop.
Oh, that's terrible.
One last thing, in Palo Alto, the Mormon Church, in one of their exhibit halls, sets up, some of you were saying yes, that they set up creches. And there are rooms and rooms, I would easily suggest maybe 300 or 400. And you can walk through it and see all the different creches.
Wow. Oh, where is that located then?
I'm not sure, Ken. It's somewhere in Palo Alto.
I know where it is. It's on Middlefield Road. I believe it's near, I can't think of the street. It's right down the street from Unity, the Unity Church. And yeah, he used to do that every year. I don't know if this year, but it is an amazing display.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
No, it's on.
Yes, I'm kind of intrigued at what Jim talked about, having that collection right here in our backyard. We should.
I was told by Soli that it's online at christmascreche.com or org. I'm not sure, but it is online, which he's talking about.
The one in
Middlefield.
The one in Palo Alto, Ken.
Yeah.
The Mormon one?
The
Yes.
Mormon one.
Yes.
That's on YouTube.
It's near Charleston. You're right.
Somebody else heard you.
Not a question. I just wanted to share. I had an opportunity a year or so ago to go in Santa Clara. There's a Christian church that puts up a living Bethlehem every year. And it's fantastic with the centurions. They have Mary, Joseph, they have the camels, they have the wise men, they have the donkeys. They have all these little craft things for kids to do, to make. And I can't tell you how big it is, but it's fantastic. And I don't know if it's across from Bookser High School or Santa Clara.
Santa Clara High School on Benton, yes.
Yes, it's spectacular.
Is it? Do we know if it's on now?
I doubt it. I doubt it because
I know they're doing some shorter version of it online because of COVID, but yeah, it's huge, and the
It's
people
huge.
that turn out
And it's free.
and free.
Well, it's kind of interesting. All of this is happening, and we didn't know it right in our own backyard.
Yeah.
It's every
do
year
wanna-
for over 20 years.
Yeah, I do want to say, when this COVID is over, you really need to make a trip up to San Francisco to Grace Cathedral, because Grace Cathedral on the top of Nob Hill has some of the treasures of the Renaissance. They have the Viventi doors. The original doors are in Florence. However, they made a mold because they were afraid there was no way they could take the doors out of the baptistry. So they made a mold of the doors in case Firenze was going to be bombed and a bomb would hit the baptistry. So they would have the original doors. Fortunately, they didn't need it. So they gave the molds as a gesture of goodwill to Grace Cathedral, and they have used the original molds to make the bronze or brass doors to Grace Cathedral. So if you go online, you can actually see the detail. It's the same door pattern that's in Florence. The other thing is, they have the Neapolitan creche inside. I went online to try to get a picture of it. I couldn't find the picture, but there was an awful lot on the Ghiberti doors, and they also have a sculpture of the replica, not the replica, the prototype of Saint Francis of Assisi, the famous Saint Francis of Assisi carved by Benny Buffano. And the original is by Fisherman's Wharf. However, the prototype is in the actual cathedral. So it's a treasure house of Renaissance and Italian American art right there in Nob Hill. So, okay, with any other questions? Thank Dave and Lucia for helping with this. I want to thank Zena for her remembrance, Corinne actually for her donation of the statues, and our holiday market is going to go traditionally, so we're going to be celebrating Epiphany.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Buon Natale.
Thank you.
Buon Natale.
Thank you,
Buon
Corinne.
Natale.
Ciao ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao, grazie a tutti.
Thank you. Molte grazie.
Bye bye.
Ciao.